In the world of academic inquiry and professional research, three primary methodologies dominate: qualitative research, quantitative research, and mixed methods research. There are other subdivisions of them, like mono-method quantitative, mono-method qualitative, multi-method quantitative, and multi-method qualitative. But for this discussion, we are going to stick to the three major research methodologies: qual, quan, and mixed method. Now, if you are finding it difficult to understand the direction of your research, how to operationalize your research, and how to structure your research, understanding these methodologies will help guide you to understand what you are doing. You do not need to be a research expert to understand this, just pay attention and follow through this article. Now, each of these methodologies has unique characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses, making them suitable for specific research objectives. Below is an in-depth exploration of these approaches with complete examples to illustrate their use. We first start with the qualitative research methodology. Qualitative research is a methodological approach that aims at exploring complex phenomena through detailed, contextual, and subjective insights. This definition by scholars may seem ambiguous and complex. But just understand that if your research is focused on understanding human experiences, behaviors, and social contexts using interviews and observations, then you should understand that your research methodology is qualitative. For example, if your topic is to understand teachers' experiences with remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, you ask yourself, how will I carry out this study? If you are talking about teachers' experiences or behaviors or perceptions, then it is subjective. And subjective means that it is based on personal opinions and feelings and not based on facts. If this is the case, then your research will adopt qualitative methodologies. Qualitative research methods are primarily used to explore new theories, emphasize personal opinions and subjective experiences. When collecting data for qualitative research, you will rely on methods like interviews, focus groups, case studies, and ethnography. Qualitative research uses an inductive approach which seeks to generate new theories rather than testing pre-existing hypotheses. You may ask, what is the difference between the inductive approach and the deductive approach? Deductive reasoning starts with a general principle and applies it to specific situations to reach a conclusion, while inductive reasoning starts with specific observations and uses them to form a general principle. Here are some more examples of deductive reasoning. If it is Saturday, then I will wash my car. If it rains, I will use an umbrella. I am not washing my car, or I am not using an umbrella. Therefore, it is not Saturday, or it is not raining. Examples of inductive reasoning. You notice that on Fridays, the clerks in your local grocery store wear football jerseys. You can conclude that the clerks wear football jerseys on all Fridays. So for deductive reasoning, you test from known facts or existing theories or hypotheses in different situations to conclude. While inductive reasoning, you examine subjective and specific observations to generate a new theory or form a general principle. So in most cases, you use an inductive approach for qualitative research and a deductive approach for quantitative research, because qualitative deals with subjective opinions while quantitative deals with facts. However, there are various advantages to using a qualitative research method. For instance, qualitative methods are flexible to use and provides a deep understanding of human behavior and complex issues which can lead to the development of theories and principles. It can also uncover patterns and trends that quantitative data might miss. In addition, qualitative research can encourage discussion between participants, which can lead to different responses than one-on-one interviews. However, some limitations to a qualitative method is that it is time-consuming, prone to researcher bias, and limited generalizability due to small sample sizes. This means that, due to a small number of participants, and because of the subjective nature of the study, people's personal feelings and perceptions, which most times differ, may affect their responses, making it difficult to generalize your findings, and in turn can affect the outcome of your study. So you must understand and acknowledge these limitations. Here are some examples of topics that can adopt a qualitative method. To examine how cultural beliefs influence patient decision-making in rural communities. A case study to explore the lived experiences of refugees integrating into a new society. The impact of school timing on student achievement. The effects of parental involvement on student behavior. The role of critical thinking in education. So when you have a topic like the ones I mentioned, you most likely have a pragmatic research philosophy, use an inductive approach, use a qualitative research method, and will most likely get your data from in-depth interviews, case studies, observations, focus groups, etc. Now let's discuss the quantitative research method. Quantitative research involves the systematic investigation of phenomena through statistical, mathematical, or computational techniques. It is centered on numerical data, and aims to quantify variables, establish relationships, and test hypotheses. Rather than being subjective like the qualitative. Quantitative strives for objectivity and generalizability, utilizes standardized methods for data collection and analysis, and involves measurable data like surveys, experiments, and secondary data analysis. It often uses a deductive approach by testing theories or hypotheses using predefined variables. Since it is based on facts and not subject to personal opinion and feelings, it has high reliability, it is standardized, and enables generalization to larger populations. But it has its limitations. Quantitative research methods can overlook subjective experiences and rigid. Now we have explained the difference between inductive and deductive approaches. While qualitative research adopts an inductive approach, quantitative research method adopts a deductive approach, deals with existing facts, oftentimes measurable and free from bias. If your topic is to investigate the relationship between study hours and academic performance, a survey of 1,000 university students. From the topic you can see that the variables are measurable such as study hours in hours and academic performance, say grades. Then you sure can use a quantitative method for this research, which adopts a deductive approach and will most likely use closed-ended questionnaire instruments, surveys, and documented records of students' grades. Another title can be to statistically examine the correlation between income levels and voting behavior in national elections. In this case, the word behavior may seem qualitative, but if it can be measured by no of votes cast by each income group, then you can use the quantitative method. Always remember quantity and measurability. In summary, quantitative research uses numbers and statistics to study patterns, relationships, or trends. Researchers collect data through surveys, experiments, or observations and analyze it to answer questions like how much or how often. It's like measuring something scientifically to make sense of it, ensuring results are clear, accurate, and unbiased. Now the last methodology we are going to discuss in this article is the mixed method research methodology. Mixed methods research integrates both qualitative and quantitative approaches to provide a comprehensive understanding of research problems. This methodology leverages the strengths of both approaches to address complex questions. The mixed method combines qualitative and quantitative data collection and analysis. Mixed methods research combines numbers and statistics, quantitative, with detailed opinions and experiences, qualitative, to explore a topic more deeply. Quantitative data focuses on numbers, patterns, and measurable facts. For example, how many cycling accidents occur in Amsterdam and where? Qualitative data focuses on detailed experiences, opinions, and perceptions. For instance, what cyclists think about safety and why they feel certain areas are dangerous. For example, if you want to study the effects of urban migration on the population of a city, you can integrate interviews with migrants, which is qualitative, and use census data analysis, which is quantitative, to understand migration trends and their impact. Another example, when you are studying cycling safety in Amsterdam, could involve analyzing accident data, quantitative, and cyclists' complaints, qualitative, together. Using both together allows researchers to address the topic from every angle and gain a deeper factual understanding of the topic that can be used to draw inferences. Now people can ask how to use mixed method research design. There are various ways you can apply them. First is what we call the convergent parallel mixed method. It means that the researcher will collect quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously and analyze them separately. For example, while gathering accident statistics, quantitative, you also study complaints from cyclists, qualitative. After analyzing both, you compare results to draw overall conclusions. Secondly is the embedded mixed method. In this case, the researcher will focus on one type of data, say quantitative data, and use the other qualitative to support the study. Both are collected and analyzed at the same time. For example, a primarily quantitative study examines whether areas with more cyclist complaints also have more accidents. You include interviews, qualitative, with cyclists who filed complaints to add depth to your analysis. Another method of applying mixed method is called explanatory sequential, which allows the researcher to start with quantitative data, and then follow up with qualitative data to explain the results. Example, analyze accident statistics to find high-risk areas, quantitative, then interview cyclists to understand why these areas are unsafe, qualitative. The last method of applying the mixed method is called exploratory sequential, which allows the researcher to start with qualitative data to explore a topic, and then test findings with quantitative data. Example, interview cyclists to understand their safety concerns, qualitative, then analyze accident data to check if these concerns match actual incidents, quantitative. When you are choosing to use a mixed method research methodology, kindly explain and acknowledge which strategy you are going to use to apply it. This will make your research stand out and your supervisors understand that you know what you are doing. Some people often ask the question, how do I know which methodology is right to use? Now, the choice between qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods depends on the research question, objectives, and available resources. Below are some considerations. Consider the nature of the research question. It always uses qualitative research for exploratory questions. For example, how do parents perceive remote learning? For measurable questions like, what percentage of students prefer online learning? Kindly use the quantitative research method. And for complex questions like what are the experiences and satisfaction levels of students in online learning? Kindly use the mixed method. You can also consider available resources when choosing the method to use. Always remember that qualitative research often requires fewer participants but more time for analysis. Quantitative research requires larger samples and statistical tools, and mixed methods require both time and expertise in both methodologies. Another thing to consider when choosing which method to adopt is your desired research outcome. If you are looking to get depth and context, please prioritize qualitative research, while if you are looking for generalizability, prioritize quantitative research. And for comprehensive insights, choose mixed methods. The key to successful research lies in selecting the methodology that best aligns with the research question, objectives, and resources. By understanding and leveraging the strengths of these approaches, researchers can make meaningful contributions to their fields.